please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of Where Are They Now? Today we're going to be taking a look at Hassan Piker's favourite orbiter, Frogan, who has had quite a tumultuous year, but one where they have had to learn some very serious lessons that I'm sure going into 2026 they'll have to continue to learn as the rising star of Twitch, 2 times running, has to traverse a legal case that, at time of recording, near the end of November, has yet to be resolved. What I thought we'd do is go through those 3 videos that I made on the main channel and then see what Frogan has been up to since. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new video uploaded, first video uploaded to this channel, by Frogan, a response to Ethan Klein. 11,000 downvotes. Top comment, a quote from her video, Ian approached his content cop with empathy. 9 subsequent points debunk that. Empathy, real empathy, is not meant to be selective, but humanity is a judgy species, and Ian, iDubbbz, has been well and truly cucked. Imagine my shock. Since this is the first upload by Frogan to YouTube, what with them being a rising star, 2-time rising star, the 2-time, one might say, on Twitch, this should be interesting. Oh, and before we start, TCG, trading card game, lolcow ones, I have a card coming out soon. In the pinned comment is a link to the page if you'd like to support this channel, because there's a discount code as well. Use it, and, well, I benefit from it. And I'm really looking forward to some of these cards coming out. I have seen my card. I can't show it just yet. But hopefully, in the not-so-distant future, in a World-related set, I will feature. And any support would be appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Frogan, and this is the first time I'm ever making a solo YouTube video about everything that has happened the last year and a half.
Oh dear God, is this how lolcows begin now? Let's all agree Frogan is definitely going to become a lolcow within the next 5 years. Cemented, legacy assured. Frogan is that. Why? Because you're a Hassan orbiter, and when his hairline is fully receded and his channel's down the drain, he'll be there as well.
I address everything on my podcast, Arabs, which you can find the link below, but today it's just going to be you and I.
Why am I not surprised you would have a podcast called Arabs? That feels a bit on the nose, considering your origins. But okay, not my place to judge. Everyone has a podcast, I have one too. But I at least stayed true to what I love and went with Not Worth a Cork, and it's entirely whiskey based. Although we did do a rum one recently. I'll link the channel in the pinned comment if you're interested. You should all go follow, I make shorts.
I think the content cop was great.
The like to dislike and call to public opinion would beg to differ with that statement. But it's okay, you're entitled to an opinion even if it is the incorrect one.
You know, I feel like Ian approached it in a way that nobody else does. He approached it with empathy, and, you know, it was supposed to make people feel bad for Ethan.
That's funny because I watched all 1 hour of it, and that was not the takeaway message. The takeaway message was, Ethan, you're a shit person. If anyone's going to feel sorry for you, it's condescending. It's patronizing. There's no sincerity to be found. You'd know this because you did that rather pathetic L dance that you failed at. Compared to everyone else, you don't have the mobility, it would seem. I wonder why that is. The big takeaway not only is to take a dump on Ethan, but was to make it seem like Hassan, yourself, and your orbiter friends are all in the right, when you're all fundamentally not.
One of the main things, especially as content creators, people tend to dehumanize us and forget that we're living normal people just like you.
If you want to be unnecessarily pedantic and say we are all living people, sure, but don't try and pretend you have feelings, because you don't. With the stuff you've said, there's no version of it where I can believe you're anything but a low-functioning psychopath. You have to be, for some of the rather interesting takes you've had in the short time you've been here as a rising star that has still not risen.
So obviously, with so much pressure on the internet, both on myself, and I'm sure Ethan can relate to this too, it's f***ing hell. It's hard to manage, it's hard to deal with.
Well then, thankfully I'm here to help you, Frogan, the mighty, mighty Frogan. This is what you do if you want to reduce the the stress placed upon you, and no, I'm not about to do an ad for cortisol levels. What you do is stop writing checks with your mouth that come from a place of ill thought out reasoning, like your veteran's comment. You've claimed that was a slip up, by the way. No, it bloody well wasn't. If it was a slip, it was Freudian and it was definitely real, and you meant every last word of it. Don't write checks with your mouth unless you are ready to take the receipt that comes with it. The receipt that comes with it is you and the rest of your extremist leftist buddies, right? The progressive left, the tolerant left, need to shut your mouths, need to introspect and consider what you've said is vastly worse than anything else being currently spoken of on the internet. You are ideologues, but you are unprincipled ideologues.
So I feel like Ian approached it in a way that was more so holding a friend accountable and in a softer way, and wanted to generate empathy for Ethan. Other people don't do that.
Two things. Firstly, was that what the whole Wake Up Ethan thing was at the end for? Some kind of Matrix-related commentary. The whole video was insulting Ethan from the offset. There were mistakes in this video that looked like they were blatantly setting up a level of irony with Nazi symbology. It was intentionally designed to be offensive. That's what Content Cop was meant to be. Also, in the background you have a neon sign. Is that meant to be the purple monster thing from McDonald's?
And I've even said this before. I feel like we need to stick to the basics as to why Ethan Klein deserves to be criticized, and that is for being pro-Israel and trying to deplatform pro-Palestinian content creators.
Of course he's pro-Israel. The man is Jewish. Idiot. He will back his country. He will back his people. You say that's what the main issue is and why the criticism comes about. Then why all the personal attacks? Why the CPS call? Why are people on your side of this so willing to employ such bad tactics on Ethan? I'm not going to defend Ethan because Ethan can defend himself. I'm going to state the bloody obvious and say how absolutely pointless your position is. And it's not the real reason why you think Ethan deserves to be criticised. It's because he's anti-Hamas. And you're apparently pro-Hamas. Based on what you've said in the past, I'm inclined to believe there's some truth to that. Hi, Bingo. You okay? Cool. I'm inclined to believe that.
I think it's insane to involve his children and anybody else that really doesn't deserve the criticism. I think Hila deserves the criticism as well, too, because she says some bad crazy things on the podcast as well.
Well, then surely Hila deserves her own content cop, right? Try not to forget here, a lot of the assertions espoused by people you agree with come from no basis of reasoning or verifiable fact. Everyone says dumb crap on podcasts. You are no exception with your race tier list. Don't try me with this. You don't have a leg to stand on, although I'm not inclined to believe you do much standing anyway. You and the rest of the Orbiter mob, the peanut gallery, just come across most of the time based on how you argue as distinctly anti-Jewish, just cause Jewish. Which is why Hassan's taken a bit more crap of late for that sword dubbed the Nazi sword that featured in the content cop as well. You cannot say these were accidental, by the way, because these videos are typically meticulously put together. If there's a subliminal message, it's there on purpose. It's there on purpose to drive home a point. And you desperately want Ethan and Hila to be anti-Israel in this. It's not going to happen. So your criticism is basically just you hurling all the bad stuff you can hurl at them, saying the dumb crap you want to say at them, because you know that the recourse will be they're just going to respond to you, and they're going to defend their people. They're going to defend themselves as well. If it goes too close to defamation, they will push that button as well, and you've got no hope against that.
And I've said this, and I'll say it again. If you're spewing pro-Israel propaganda, I'm going to call you out about it.
You do realise, based on what you've just said, that you are now, because you're just willing to believe anything from Israel is propaganda, you, based on your own comments, so I don't have to prove this, are pro-Hamas, right? I firmly believe in Palestine's right to exist, 100%. I also believe Hamas needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. Why? Because they've done enough damage to the Palestinian people that voted for them after being bullied into voting for them. Palestine at one point had a chance to become a utopia. Hamas ensured that Palestine would be set back decades. Is that propaganda, by the way? Because from what I've heard from many officials, that is what could have happened had Palestine not given Hamas that chance.
I received a text asking to say something nice about Ethan, and to be honest, I thought about it long and hard because I was like, this man does not deserve anything nice from me. But I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. maybe it'll give me some closure. So I wrote a letter to Ethan, and I read it off, and iDubbbz put it in the video, and this was Ethan's reaction to the video.
Just before that, I want to highlight something here, and it's the phenomenal amount of effort Frogan puts into Frogan's face for this next clip. So the version we're getting in the video and then the version in the content comp, there are two... this is Foodie Beauty territory of like catfishing face, right? That's what this is, and it tickled me to no end.
I bet you would.
I will be reading my letter off because I don't want to sound robotic. H3 used to be the sports for good that I used to watch. I hope that one day gets back to what I remember. You were one of the inspirations for me to start creating content, so all this has stunk. I hope you really hear this, and I wish you the best.
I think... Listen,
Thank you.
Frogan, she's so dumb that you almost can't be even mad at her. Like,
She did wish us the best in the end. It almost felt like the nicest one of them all.
I think she was the only one being genuine,
Yeah.
actually. So I don't want to... whatever. Just Frogan, just chill, okay? Just stop being an idiot, and I'll stop talking about you. It's really simple math.
Let's ignore the fact you made your eyes look remarkably Oriental Asian and focus on the fact that you said something nice. And Ethan's response is, I kind of pity you because you are quite clearly stupid. And I agree with this. It's why I've never seen you do much in the way of debate. I don't think you could actually manage it with anyone. I think Ethan would wipe the floor with you, and I think any commentary channel that's given you 5 minutes of their time, so me, would destroy you as well. You're ill-informed on many issues. You think yourself an authority on, for example, the Middle East because of your faith. You're American. Don't try us. Your interpretation of faith is entirely skewed on the privileges you have, as opposed to the many privileges that do not exist, along with human rights, in an area of the world you can barely comprehend. You are out of touch with reality. So I've no doubt in my mind you see their response as condescending because they don't consider you a threat. They consider you stupid, which I agree with. You're not a threat. But let's skip to the part where you respond to that.
She's also by far the smallest creator of the bunch.
Right.
I mean, is it even, like, cool that he included her? Like, she's just gonna get more shit for being involved.
It's not cool.
And, like,
on his
it's
behalf.
not... It's
he knows what, like, this entails.
Okay, I had to include that because it's important to acknowledge they really don't consider her anything but an orbiter, low IQ, smooth-brained, tolerant leftist who's just anti-Israel and pro-Hamas, and too stupid to be anything else. As the two-time rising star of Twitch. That's well-deserved, isn't it now?
This part made me laugh because it was very tone-deaf, and he's acting like half of his content nuke wasn't about me.
Oh, I'm glad you watched it. Maybe you could pass on the other 50% then, since you're so important in that video, to Hassan, who the video is actually based on. You were mentioned quite a lot because you're one of his orbiters, his lieutenants, one of the heads of this rather weak T-Hydra. A brochurist, a bread... No, you're not quite bread tube, are you? No, you already ate that.
Half of the content nuke, the entire ending half, was about me. So if I'm so irrelevant and so uncool to include, why the f was I in your goddamn video?
So a couple points. First of all, if you're going to speak of Hassan, you may as well speak of the orbiters. You may as well do that, because they make up a lot of his opinions for him. Because Hassan doesn't have an original thought of his own unless it's contrarian and hipster. Second, God not real. And third, you are not as important as you think you are, and if you were, you would have garnered more, let's say, growth from it. For somebody who was considered a rising star, and I mentioned it on purpose earlier, you've achieved very little. You are only relevant when Hassan is around. You're not relevant at any other point. Ethan mentioning you made sense to point out just how corrupted Hassan has become when there are idiots like you around him.
Like, Hassan can handle it, but, like, Frogan's now just gonna get a pile of shit on top of her that I have no control over because people are watching. Millions of people are watching his video, by the way, and they're reacting to it. And they're not having good reactions to it.
Not just our audience.
Far from our own, yeah.
I think it's funny that you think me being in the iDubbbz video is what's going to cause this harassment.
Based on the like to dislike, I'm inclined to believe that it will lead to more criticism coming your way, like this video. You thinking you can spin this with mental gymnastics is amusing, quaint, cute, gauche, trite, unoriginal, but let's face it, the majority of the criticism comes because the video sucked ass, something I'm sure you're all too familiar with.
When in reality, it's you, Ethan. You're acting like you haven't spent the last year and a half doing everything in your power to push people to bully and harass me, including weaponizing propaganda organizations such as the ADL to get me banned off Twitch because I made a joke about you not being able to say Habibi.
Based on how Twitch is operated and how crappy your little ban was that you received, I don't think that was all that effective. The ADL are a joke organisation. There are many things they think should be banned. You're not the only person impacted by that. I like you think everything you've received negativity-wise is Ethan's fault. I first heard of you because of some dumb tweets. Others like Destiny, who I won't show clips of, he had commented on you. In fact, I think Drama Alert had as well. Many of the commentary channels had, and they didn't use Ethan to do it. They saw the clips because of Hassan. If you want to blame anyone for the negativity you receive, blame your overlord. Although, based on how you reacted to being in his office, man, you went fangirl. You don't spend much time around people, do you? You can tell, by the way, when someone nervously laughs around a group of people they think are cool because they're finally in with them. How tragic your life is. I swear you're just another Foodie Beauty ripoff.
But no, it's iDubbbz, one of the only major creators besides Hassan who has actually defended me publicly in the last few months.
Firstly, as far as creators go, Hassan's only really big on Twitch. He does have a YouTube channel, and rather amusingly, the thumbnails have more expression in than his actual videos themselves, which are just clips from live streams. iDubbbz Content Cop is the only video to have got a lot of views on iDubbbz channel in years, because iDubbbz has been going down since Creator Clash. Well, slightly before the first one, I think, and the views went with it. So is iDubbbz a major creator either? Not really. All the criticism you're getting now is well deserved. It doesn't matter how many people criticize you. If you want to call it harassment, you call it whatever you like. The fact remains, everyone is allowed to call you out for your bad takes, and I'll call out every single one of them. Why? Because you hate the American people, you hate Israel, you hate Jewish people as a whole, to be honest. You can say otherwise, but everything you've done is exactly proving the point that you are everything what I've called you. See how I don't have to defend Ethan here? Because Ethan isn't trying to attack you in this video that you've shown clips of. Ethan pities you because Ethan thinks you're stupid. And this video you've released is just backing him up.
This next section is about the double standards of Ethan's thinking. Let's get started with this clip.
Personally, though, and I've seen Hassan do this before, is he's accused me of it. He goes, "Oh, you just hate Muslims." It's like, bro, can you actually please just respond to a real argument? Like, please, bro. You know, he just, like, you can't just sweep everything away by saying that. It's just not right. Are people very cruel to her? Yeah, for sure. You know, it's just, I don't know, man.
I will agree, there are some people who do go too far when it comes to criticising Frogan, 100%. But that's only based on the standard I set, where I will criticise directly points that Frogan makes. Others go on the personal attack, they go on the side of, well, she's fat, she's short, she's Muslim, she only wears a hijab for, and then insert reasons here. They go on the attack for physical attributes, none of which I care about because I didn't realise Frogan was human. Was that too callous? Okay, cool. The things that annoy me the most about Frogan are what comes out of Frogan's mouth as opposed to the copious amounts of whatever goes in. So hearing the response you're about to hear is amusing because it's going to be from very selective interpretation. It really is going to be very selective.
I don't know how to explain this to you, Ethan, because this is something you claim all the time, but some people are actually racist. Ethan claims people are mean to him all the time because they're racist, using his religion as a shield to criticism, as he claims people are doing to me. A lot of the comments I get are about me being a hijabi and me being Muslim, so no. People are not more charitable to me because I wear the hijab, and I wish that was the case.
Cool story, bro. Did you notice, though, with Ethan's clip, he'd actually asked Hassan to address something directly, and instead Hassan had projected. You did just the same thing there. See, this is the problem with a lot of you, I'm going to call you the tolerant left again. Yes. You don't focus on the issue, your ADD kicks in, you go, oh no, let's talk about this instead. Let me shift the goalpost, let me go reductio ad absurdum. I have no doubt in my mind that Ethan has from time to time used his faith as a reason to not take criticism. No doubt in my mind. Not going to ignore that. You've not actually proven it, just to be clear. You've not also debunked him either. This video response is dog shit because you're not actually doing anything, you're asserting. Here I was thinking you put some effort into this, because I'm sure as hell not going to do it for you.
I have never, they accuse me of doing it. They go, oh, Ethan's just targeting Arab and Muslim creators. It's like, I have never one time mentioned her hijabi or brought anyone's identity into my criticism of them.
You haven't said anything about me being Muslim directly, but your ideas about Muslims are pretty obvious from what you say. Here are a few of many examples.
Oh, this is going to be my favourite bit, isn't it? Because it's going to be a cherry pick, quote mine. It's going to be out of context. Oh, I'm so excited. This is my favourite, by the way, because you've just admitted he's not said anything directly. Now you're going to go with the indirect and infer from it. It doesn't matter what he says as long as you're able to use something out of context to frame him a way that makes you seem like your opinions are reinforced. Okay, that's cute.
Why don't you just make it easier? Why don't you just fly to ISIS and do them a favor and just let them, just serve yourself on a platter for them because you deserve it. Like, I think per capita, a lot of the weird in terrorism and crimes and shit, I mean, there's definitely some strong thread of violence through the Muslim community. Yeah. Or Arab Muslims, to be more specific.
Oh, look at that, you proved me right. You've 100% proved me right. Because the first clip is completely out of context. We don't know what caused that comment in the first place. The second are tweets aimed at somebody who has been nothing but a hell to Ethan. And the game, I can't justify that. The third one, again, out of context, an earlier Hatred podcast episode, but also not wrong. In fact, the Office of National Statistics in my country would back it. I wish you hadn't done this, because you really are proving his point that you're just stupid.
The next thing I want to bring up are the double standards both Ethan and Gila have for themselves. Let's get started with this clip.
We misspoke. It didn't sound good. We immediately corrected ourselves. That's how mature people do. That's how how you're supposed to handle yourself, isn't it? Like, what more do you want me to do?
I have no problem apologizing and admitting and whatever is needed when things happen.
This was in response to people bringing up how Gila said Yoav Gallant was a great guy, even though he's literally a war criminal and pro-genocide. I'm a live streamer as well. I know being live for hours and hours on end, you can misspeak, and that is exactly what happened whenever I said the thing about the US military.
There is a clip of Destiny, and I really don't want to play it, where he proves the point about you and this comment of misspeaking when it came to the military. It really is a useful clip though, but I can't play it. So instead I'll paraphrase what Destiny says. Essentially, he says, and I agree, you tripled down on it. You never took it back, and also you said whenever I said. You can't even remember when you said it. You just know the clip will never die down. It's always going to be there and thrown at you. He also pointed out that when you had a chance to take it back, you didn't, which he mentions as the triple down. At least twice beforehand. You never took it back, you got banned temporarily, so suspended. It didn't impact you. It may have slightly because of election season, but only because you'd gone so extreme left, you had forgotten where your values actually reside. You'd lost civility, you lost the argument, and you were punished for it. The internet is the punishment. You will forever have to deal with this as a consequence because of your anti-American interpretations. Others that shared this similar opinion, like Mia Khalifa, yeah, you guys deserve this. 100%. You can hide behind whichever victim card you want to hide behind, but reality cares little for what you think is a shield.
I said it in a way in which I didn't mean, and I also clarified it on Twitter by saying, the US military has conducted some of the most horrific crimes against humanity in the modern era in countries such as Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you read this one and get away with it, because this is you doubling down. Like, straight up. The only thing you admit is that wishing harm isn't the best way to talk about issues. You didn't apologize for the comments. You doubled down on it by calling the US military this. Right. You really are an idiot. You have to be an idiot. You've been huffing your farts for too long. Do you live in San Francisco or something? Because you have to be inhaling flatulence. Maybe some fentanyl as well. To be this stupid.
And like I said initially, I'm not granted that charitability at all.
This is why there's a level of reluctance from Ethan to fully go in on you. Because you will play victim, which is fine, but you're also, to him, he's punching down. You mentioned the content nuke because you are relevant to the source material. You're a key part of that particular cog. That would be the Nepo child, terrible gamer, Hassan Piker, who hates literally everyone, but tries to act like he's cool. Alright. You look like that guy, Hassan, that walks through a crowd. Yeah, you look like that dude, and I'm pretty sure you'd stink just as much as him as well.
I want to explain it because people bring it up non-stop. I apologize for it right away when Ethan made a video to address this on his Ethan Klein channel. I
Next day, I think
made
it
a
was.
quick appearance in that video just to say I'm sorry, I misspoke. I shouldn't have called him a really good guy. Like, I don't know why I said it like that.
What more do you want from me? I did the same exact thing.
No, you didn't. I have, over the past year, made 4 videos total on Frogan, so I'm not obsessed, don't try me. 1 on Omegon 2 and 3 on the main channel, 2 going back as far as 7 months, 1 from 2 weeks ago. Frogan is a terrible person. Well and truly a terrible person. They don't know how to do the less than humble approach. Everything is far too extreme for the 2-time rising star of Twitch. And today, we're going to be taking a look at some of that, more recent that is. For this we have to talk about Tectone, and we have to talk about AB. We'll start with Tectone. Now, recently, Tectone had been banned from Twitch, or suspended for 2 weeks, and Tectone had put out a statement discussing this on Twitter by saying, I got banned for 2 weeks for simply calling Frogan a fat piece of poop. I'm not sorry, to be honest, and I stand by what I said. However, going forward, I'll do my best not to bring her up again, as me bringing her up only brings her into relevancy, and I'd rather let her punishment be her own failure at being a streamer. 2-time Rising Star Awards winning streamer, by the way, def not an industry plant. Anyways, I'm going to stream on YouTube. Many people have preferred, or are starting to prefer, streaming on YouTube at the moment. That, Kick, Rumble, because there's more money to be made. They have a point at the moment, with the nature of Twitch anyway. Now, Tectone did, when Tectone came back to Twitch, put out a couple statements. And I want to go through a few of those little clips, because 1 or 2 of them baffle me. For example, and I'll state this as a foreshadowing, Frogan got banned for 1 day, or suspended for 1 day, which is the correct term by the way, after wishing ill on military. Okay, we'll get to it soon, just wanted to insert it before we got to it.
So I was banned for 2 weeks. And why did I get banned? Because I called Frogan a fat piece of shit. And to be fair, did I deserve the ban? Absolutely. 100%. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? I was absolutely berating the f*** out of her. But here's the f***ing problem. Here's the f***ing problem, right? I get banned for 2 weeks. I think that's a little bit much. I think it's a little bit much for calling someone fat. Someone who said they weren't bothered by that comment literally 1 week ago. So I guess I should have been a mind reader. Because in the TOS says, when someone repeatedly says that they're bothered by something and then you keep saying it, then you'll get banned.
As is well known when it comes to Twitch and their enforcement of their terms of service, it is very much based on who you know to get yourself out of trouble, and what message you push. Dan Clancy might like to say that he is unbiased, but he has a clear and obvious bias, and so do many of the Twitch staff members. Twitch is a very, very left-leaning platform. It is why if you try and present anything or say anything that goes against the grain, or shines a negative light on those rising stars, you're going to get into trouble. I stream on Twitch, I only play video games. Sometimes I get dragged into a conversation that can get a bit on the dark side. I usually find a way to get back on track by instead talking about my day, because it is a safer option and I don't risk losing a source of income. Although I have been considering dual streaming onto the stream channel here on YouTube. I'm considering it, yeah. We'll see.
But in the TOS, it literally says they have to state that they're bothered by it. And Frogan has gone on record saying she was not bothered by it.
Streamer XQC, who has recently been showing QR codes to beg audience, even though they're a multimillionaire, to rent a bike for them. Yeah, I saw that. Recently had said on Twitter that they believed that Frogan would have been the reason for the report happening. By replying to Zzzzombrocoli, who had said, I think people would respect a decision like this by Twitch if it was applied universally. If applied fairly, the TOS of Twitch is quite reasonable and well-intentioned. The problem is when you have asymmetrical enforcement and double standards. XQC, believe it or not, it's my understanding that this is only enforced when a streamer manually reports someone that attacked them. So there is a belief that Frogan did the reporting. I don't know if you can show report history on Twitch. You can on YouTube, and a number of us have squeaky clean records because of it. I don't think Frogan would have that, on Twitch anyway. And Twitch having a double standard in this is not a surprise for anyone at all. I did not support Tectone's 2-week ban. I also don't support what they had to do that will then harken back to my earlier comment about the military.
She said, oh, it's such a boring insult. Get something new. It doesn't bother me. She said that. So first of all, why the f*** did I get banned for that? Secondly, here's how I got unbanned. I had a survey to take. A survey to take if I was a good boy or not. It's a new thing that Twitch was rolling out, which I thought was honestly a pretty good idea.
Yeah, they stole the idea from YouTube. I'm not surprised.
But on that survey, you had to answer a couple questions. So I did. And that's how I learned that harassing another streamer is when there's behavior that they warn you about that you keep doing even though they say that it bothers them. Frogan has gone on record once again saying she was not bothered by being called fat. That is a clip. And hopefully if this circulates over to any of these people who actually put in the effort of scavenging for clips.
It's strange to me that calling someone fat was enough to get the ban. That is such a weak thing. It really is. I've heard vastly more horrendous things said by Frogan, and yes, we can weigh the merit of either as an insult, and we can agree that what Frogan has said in the time they've been on Twitch is vastly more insulting and, well, obnoxious, rude, breaching of TOS more importantly though. So I'll again say that earlier I mentioned the military because I wanted to play the entire clip I had to hand first. Let's get to why that ties in with another clip from Tectone in this same stream talking about the questionnaire they had to take.
So here's what's crazy. I get banned when, to be honest, I actually didn't break TOS. But here's what's crazy. Do you guys know what question number 4 is on the survey? Do you guys know what they quiz you on for question number 4 on the survey? I bet you'll never guess. I bet you'll never guess. Well, why don't I show you?
I'm not gonna lie, question number 4 amuses me and is ironically one of the funniest things in the context of Frogan I have ever seen. I have to insert this, by the way, because it's a minute-long clip, and fair use tells me I can only do 30 seconds at a time. Sorry, but I wanted you to know this is funny, and know the chat didn't get it before he showed it.
Question number 4. A streamer is talking about a physical injury they experienced in the military. Someone in chat tells the streamer that they deserve their injury and should have been killed. You know what the correct answer was for does this behavior violate Twitch's community guidelines? Yes, because Twitch does not allow users to wish harm or death on others. Well, that's crazy.
I'm not trying to brag here, but because Twitch hold you, the audience, accountable, so the streamer's punished, but also the streamer, if they say something on alternative platforms, we punish if it's anything negative that breaches their terms of service, the answer was not a surprise. Simultaneously, because of what we know with Frogan getting a 1-day suspension, it is a surprise. She wished them PTSD, and then she starts saying words like based? Is that based? In that moment, she was aura maxing everyone. Real moment situation type deal. Now, as far as the fat comment goes, couldn't care less. I don't care if Frogan is fat, thin. I don't care if they're ugly or attractive. I don't care about their faith. I care about what they say, because that is their action. They don't do anything beyond speaking. So what they say is what matters the most. Everything else is pointless. Do I think that that should be worthy of a ban or suspension? No, I do not. I don't think anyone should be, but I'm not surprised there are some that believe Frogan reported Tectone. I had thought that Frogan celebrated this to an extent, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter, does it?
What Tectone did was socially acceptable. Frogan is a detestable, disgusting person. I think everybody knows this. Not by her appearance, but by the content of her character. I find this to be very surprising because I don't even think that's really her either. I think the fact is that, she's probably a nice person, but she just gets on the internet and turns into an awful person. I think that's the truth. I met Frogan in real life, and I got along just fine with her. There were no problems. It was a nice, it was friendly. There's nothing wrong. And so, I don't want to say this in a way that, is wrong. But, you can't go and say that you hope people, soldiers get PTSD and shit like this. You can't go and say this and be like, oh, wow, I'm surprised people don't like me.
I thought I'd insert that clip because I saw it in my timeline and for some reason bookmarked it. It seemed appropriate because I think many things should be socially acceptable again. And if you notice the red bar on the screen, there's a word I blocked because it would get me done for community violations. Starting with N. And no, I'm not going down that discussion. That's a completely different subject matter with the blonde lady and the GoFundMe. Yes, I'm aware of it. I will stand by what I've said. I do not believe Tectone deserved to be suspended, but based on Twitch's terms of service, yes. Do I think there's an inconsistency? 100%. Very much so. It is well known. So we skip over from this, and we're going to go to a subject concerning an individual called AB, who I've been reliably informed on Twitter works for H3H3. The reason for this is because, first of all, we have something from Irrelevant, who had retweeted Yeet, who had tweeted a video declaring they'd lost all respect for AB, and we'll get to that in a second. Irrelevant had tweeted out, "Totally not emotionally manipulative, don't take anything said by people with the emotional intelligence of a grade schooler seriously," because she had sent a message to AB saying, "I wanted to reach out privately because responding publicly and adding to the dog pile doesn't feel right. I understand that people often overlook how tough the job market is, and I get that working for Ethan puts you in a complicated position. That said, I think what pushed people over the edge was the clip of you baiting pro-Palestinian people and blocking. The criticism you're receiving is largely because people believe you're better than that and don't subscribe to Ethan's views. I know you've been vocal about Palestine, but I think it's important to explicitly clarify that you don't share his beliefs and that you stand on your own. Ethan is not worth the BS you have to deal with working for him. Honestly, there have been times where I felt anger too, but after some reflection, I wanted to approach you directly. I'm saying this as someone who was personally impacted by Ethan, and as a cousin, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm assuming the cousin thing is faith-based, but I don't really care, to be honest. Everyone's a cousin if you're going to go that far. But this looks a bit strange as a message. It looks a bit strange, but I understand this purity test being applied. Not sharing beliefs with those you work for is fine, by the way. Saying that, the job market is tough right now. This feels like it's bordering the area of gaslighting. It really does feel like it. It feels like it. So the video clip you're about to see is a minute long, and I'll respond to parts of that. Is Frogan saying that she has now lost all respect for AB.
You gaslit yourself into thinking you're the victim. I can't tell you. And I have lost absolutely no respect. I've lost all respect I had for him, to be quite honest.
If AB responds back by saying that would be the icing on the cake. You see, we creators, those who work in life generally, we make friends, we lose friends. We lose respect for each other, gain respect for each other. It is a fact, immutable fact of life. You announcing it feels like a bit of a virtue signal. Look guys, I've passed the test. I've lost respect for them. Why? Because they still work for you, which means they're a bad person. You're welcome.
I have lost absolutely all respect for him. Especially after he said that, he really can't say whether or not the tier list was anti-Semitic or not. That's like the ultimate go f*** yourself.
Yeah, Frogan, that tier list you did, that quaint tier list, was horrible. Every tier list you've ever done in your career has solely been done to upset someone. Because controversy breeds relevancy, right? If you're a very far left, progressive left, tolerant left type moment, situation, deal, you'll often find the only way you're going to get any traction is by baiting people with rage. I like that you watch these people enough to say, people you disagree with, which is fine by the way, you should, because then it helps you strengthen your position or perhaps become more empathetic towards differing opinions. The latter does not apply with someone who's intellectually stunted though, like yourself. But at the same time, to purity test those that are your cousin, as you put it in your message, seems a bit shallow, because you think that everyone's supposed to be some kind of collective. A lot of your views, by the way, wouldn't resonate in very key areas on this planet where you believe your beliefs matter the most. I promise you that.
You're just seeing him clearly now? No, I saw him clearly before, but I didn't want to add to the dog pile. You know what I mean? Because he was somebody I considered a friend of mine. And I saw everybody ripping him apart, and I tried reaching out to him in private, and he lied about it.
Does anyone miss the good old days where people could just agree to disagree? Today we're going to be delving into an update concerning Frogan. As many of you might remember, on June the 25th, Frogan had tweeted out, "Taking the week off. Thank you all so much for support. If you want to continue to support me in my legal defense, here is the GoFundMe." Now that GoFundMe of the $200,000 goal has raised $35,071. She still thinks she's a victim of targeted harassment. It's quite funny, and many of the comments' words of support are in fact referencing the Ethan Klein Victory Fund. 10 days later, on July the 5th, Frogan announced, "I'm officially back to streaming tomorrow. We're going to do a peak playthrough with friends starting at that time. Thank you for supporting me during this time off. I love and appreciate you all so much." Reply underneath from Tebow, "You still fat?" In fact, a lot of people left very negative comments underneath. Turns out people don't really care if Frogan came back or not. With regards to her Twitter presence and her streaming though, she has mostly been promoting her own content, mostly posting pictures of herself. How cute, I think. And anything related to what's going on in Gaza right now, along with many people who have been criticizing ContraPoints for their take on the Israel, Gaza, Palestine, Hamas situation. When it came to discussing Ethan Klein, no. Although, a small part of me had thought that Frogan being silent was probably the best tactic, as opposed to Denims and Caseytron, both of whom are using this to claw at relevancy. In the case of Denims posting thirst pictures, in the case of Caseytron just getting high and attacking Tectone. I had also believed, because of Frogan's silence, that perhaps there was going to be some discourse, but because of the retweets concerning Palestine, Hamas, Gaza and Israel, that was thrown out of the window within about 3 seconds of me seeing her Twitter. But she has not mentioned Ethan Klein once, which is the smartest move for her. But there is a window. Think of it like a friend zone. You have a window of opportunity to avoid going in the friend zone if you take it. In this case, you have a window of opportunity to settle if you take it. But to do so, you need to shelve your pride, your ego, your rampant and quite frankly abhorrent levels of narcissism long enough to accept that there is some wrongdoing here, and the only way to make things better or to make things right easier for you going forward would be to have a conversation. Arguably, that would have been the easiest thing and best thing for you to do. Privately, of course, because in a public setting you would have been absolutely annihilated and you'd lose your audience. Especially if that private or public conversation was made more private or more public. Eventually everything comes out in the open, so let's face it here. If you throw even one level of shade, a grain of it, a molecule, a Higgs boson of it, in the direction of Hassan, you become Haram and you're done. When you're a one-trick pony, this is what happens next. And many of the orbiters are very much one-trick ponies. You can try and deny it all you like, but it is a verifiable reality. Now, I mentioned explicitly that there is a window of acceptable opportunity here to try and deal with this, get ahead of it, maybe save some respect for oneself. Well, that window has now passed. We are over a month away, removed from when this all went down, right? And Ethan Klein on his show has discussed whether there is an opportunity, a possibility of any kind of settling between the parties. And that is what we're going to go through now. And before someone now says to me, "Oh my god, you've become another Ethan Klein, like simp channel." Shut up. I'm not simping for Ethan Klein when I point out that 3 dribblers had a chance to fix an issue, but they were too full of themselves to deal with it. And let's face it, they stole content and violated terms of service. He has every right to do it. Grow up.
Does she think that she can give me that money and use it to give it to me in a settlement?
If she did, that's a very naive way of going about it. A part of me had thought perhaps it could be used, yes, or you could do the simpler thing, arrange to sit down and have a conversation, go through all the disagreements you have, and apologize properly and publicly for stealing Ethan Klein's content, whilst also acknowledging what you said was wrong. Because you, Caseytron and Denims, were not chosen because you're female, you were not chosen because you're orbiters. You were chosen because all 3 of you openly bragged about violating terms of service and intentionally told people not to watch the original video while offering no commentary with what you were saying in your content. Retract all of it and say sorry? Well, had you done that during what I earlier dubbed the window of acceptable opportunity, and this might have actually ended better for you, or could have ended better for you, Frogan.
That would be the ultimate irony for all these people that donated.
If
She just takes all of it and gives it directly to me.
I'm not entirely sure if it's ironic, but I would agree that it is then lending credence to the concept of the Ethan Klein Victory Fund. No, I did not donate towards it. I'm not giving my money to any of those absolute shrews. Plonkers like Denims, prats like Casey Tron, dipsticks like Frogan. They're all the same. They have the exact same opinion. They heavily rely on their chat. Although I would argue to an extent after watching a stream of each. Denims relies on her chat more. Casey Tron just gets high and leaves lots of dead air. And Frogan does actually talk. It's interesting really for the two-time rising star Twitch partner person moment type deal that she has the most potential to be entertaining but is still just a rising star.
Would you accept that?
Yeah.
Quick, Frogan, send it now while you still have a chance.
I mean, she owes me more
There
than
you go.
that, though. She owes me more than that.
Oh, okay.
I'm garnishing.
Now that's an interesting point. A small one, but a very important one. I've heard of garnishing used on things like taxes, and I know taxation is theft, where it is common for people to garnish from your salary or earnings to pay back what is owed. Take away from you a percentage for a time so you can live, but you pay back what you owe. And in the context of lost earnings, it does enter into the grey area, doesn't it? Because thousands of people saw those live streams. Potentially tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Does that translate into much on YouTube? Oh yes. If there are ads on those videos, or in this instant the content nuke on Hassan Piker, it's a lot of money lost. But it becomes speculative, so it's harder to determine just how much. It comes down to experts then, doesn't it? Which is why I said it was a grey area. Do I think it should be garnished? I guess it depends on how sincere the apology is. Yeah, because that would actually make things easier, wouldn't it? Or would have made it easier had it actually happened. An apology now would not be with any level of sincerity. An apology now would be out of necessity, and would be seen as vapid, because it took so long for the ego to go, okay, we're going to sit back for a sec, Frogan, while you go and get on with the job. You know, good luck. Good luck.
All right, well, you know, you might have to negotiate it out a little bit, but there you go, Frogan. There's your get out of jail free card.
I mean, it's one opportunity, yes. I still believe that if Frogan had said sorry sooner, for willingly, knowingly, stealing content, acknowledging it as theft, offering nothing transformative in the response and reaction to it, if she had said sorry then, this could have all been negated. Arguably she's handled the situation better than the other two, because there was still an opportunity, I think, that went a little bit longer with time, a grace period as it were, for Frogan to make this right. But I really do believe these orbiters, they can't see sense. They can only see, well, I've got victim cards, I'm going to use them. It didn't work, and so Frogan knows it's a no-win battle. The other two no one really cares about, really, do they? Denims is posting thirst posts because sexually suggestive is how you get the money in, guys. Glad to see that chestnut still works. And getting high off your large knockers, the Casey Tron tactic, is tried and true. I mean, it's made her more money in the GoFundMe department.
Honestly,
All you have
I
to do is just rip off your fans.
I had space in my heart to let her off with like creative settlement offers and stuff.
Sure.
But at this point, I think I'm not settling with any of these people. I'm coming.
Well, that's a shame. I guess my theory of the window of acceptable opportunity was 1 month and 3 days, at most. So that grace period has completely eroded. I never believed for a second it existed with Denims because of the arrogance. I didn't believe it existed with Casey Tron because I don't think she knows what she's doing half the time anyway. With Frogan, I did think there was a chance, but I guess she wasn't based enough for it. And unlike those three who have to do a GoFundMe to raise the money, Ethan Klein can just pull the money out and go, well then, I raise.
I'm coming for the maximum damages. You know?
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of curious what the maximum damages are in this case, because I'm not too sure what you can get under Californian law, because this is where it is obviously, and how it impacts fair use in the wider space, whether it's localized or not, and what kind of zeros we're talking here. Are we going to get to 7 zeros? Or 6? Maybe 5? I don't know. Is there a decimal point somewhere? Where does it start?
Hey, she reached out and actually played like was amicable and fair and like not turning this into some silly, pointless wild goose chase, just wasting time. Then I'd be a lot more amendable to alternative
See that,
settlement.
Frogan? There you go.
Well, look at that. You're back in, Frogan. Go find that ego, put it in detention for a couple of hours, or reach out, agree to sit down face to face with Ethan, talk about your disagreements face to face. Yes, it means you'll have to travel, cross that line like a grown-up, because that's the best opportunity you'll have to walk away with some reputation intact. It would arguably increase your stock as well. Willingness to talk to the enemy, as it were. Or are you willing to continue to virtue signal on your hill? Because that's what this is about. It's an ironic one as well. You'll talk about one version of what is going on in the world, but ignore the other one that happened to the very people you hate. I have to say it that way on purpose because you two are precious.
I'll give you a little tip, Frogan.
Who fucking who?
You just tell Ethan that he's funny.
She did say that recently.
I know,
Honestly,
and I
dude,
remember how you
I will
reacted.
say,
And I'm
Ethan
just
is really
saying.
funny sometimes.
It didn't save her, though.
To be honest, at this point, those comments you heard in the background from Frogan are only done to try and placate, because your ego has been bruised by what has happened. That is definitive. It can be interpreted other ways. You're incorrect. It is very much a case of Frogan's ego being bruised enough that they have to accept they can no longer be as aggressive as they once were. While Twitch are happy to promote that kind of extremism, the extremism that got them into this mess in the first place, when it comes to anywhere else, they're not safe. Which is why on Twitter, Frogan gets absolutely hammered by negativity. Same on YouTube, same on any platform that mentions Frogan. I'd argue Kick Rumble as well. Why? Because you're a smeghead, and you deserve it.
You think that I'll just drop it?
No, not just with that, but that's like...
You could butter me up.
Yeah, he could be buttered, is what I'm trying to say.
Just like
he
Trump.
could definitely be buttered up.
He's the greatest, the funniest podcaster alive.
I think we can all agree this is just a bit of sarcasm, because let's face it, Ethan has stated he's going for the jugular on this one, and I support that, because I will not tolerate stealing other people's content. No one should be exempt from that. In the past, there were accusations against Sargon of a card against the killer, obviously. Sargon won because it was transformative. It was clips. In the case of Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron, it's just a straight up sit there doing nothing for hours while watching somebody else who's actually made a video and spent a lot of time producing it, and admitting you're doing it to remove views from Ethan's video by reducing its potential, and knowingly violating terms of service. So we know he's just joking here. But we also know that Frogan is buttering slightly to perhaps attempt it without going too far to lose her own audience.
I hope you get PTSD.
Yeah.
So, Frogan, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it, but you really should just figure your shit out, because in 1 week, it is going to get real ugly for you.
So some updates for Frogan, because these are quite fascinating to me. Firstly, the fundraiser, the GoFundMe, a $200,000 goal, raised $37,800. Congratulations on that. And the comments that are words of support, the very first one, nice hustle, tons of fun, next time eat a salad. Hassan hates Frogan, I can't believe Hassan won't donate to you like the filthy capitalist loser he is. And donating so Ethan will have some left at the end. $200K for a California lawsuit for copyright infringement. The court will have to go through hours of stream footage from all involved parties. Please raise it to $500,000 so you have enough to pay for all involved parties and their lawyers. I believe it's more commonly known as the Ethan Klein Victory Fund. On Twitter, Frogan has been very, very limited with activity, but is still posting bits and bobs here and there, but not much at all. There has been some posting regarding education, because I do believe Frogan is going back into education. And I say that because she had tweeted about the fields of nursing, public health, and physician assistance being excluded fields via the Department of Education when it comes to, I believe, loans and such. As far as Twitch goes, there is no recent content from Frogan. The most recent goes back over a month. Essentially, her content, her channel, her online presence is done, as she, I believe, is now transitioning away from being a full-time streamer to instead going back into education to get the qualifications she needs that I believe she'll need a loan for to live a different life. And in the grand scheme of that, it should have been the first thing she did in the first place. She only got into streaming because she almost got fired from a job anyway. Turns out being an orbiter of Hassan is not beneficial to long-term success. And since I don't know if there's been, I don't believe there has been anyway, a resolution to the cases concerning her, Frogan, Denims, I said Frogan twice, didn't I, technically? Casey Drum, that's the one, the stoner. It's unlikely she will win, and Hassan will do nothing to support her. Ethan will take everything. So she needs something away from this, the internet, because she's too proud to simply say, Ethan, I'm sorry. 2 words that are absolutely haram in the online space, apparently. Good luck and all that.